Good afternoon.
Afternoon.
Joe Sardler had been blind for 6 years. His blindness was caused by atrophy of the optical nerve. And one night, Joe tripped over his dog's dish, which had been left on a step. Subsequently, he fell down the basement stairs, and as he fell, his head slammed against the wall, and suddenly, miracle of miracles, his vision was restored. All of a sudden, Joe could see things he hadn't seen in years, such as the face of his 5-year-old daughter. Can you imagine how this made him feel? People kept asking him, "How did it happen, Joe?" Joe told them, God did it. It was Joe's firm belief that God used the dog dish and the basement stairs and the wall to afflict his miraculous healing. He gave God complete credit. Joe's experience and his interpretation of that experience remind me of something that Dr. Albert Einstein once said. There are two ways to live your life. One is as though nothing is a miracle. The other is as though everything is a miracle. Now, I'm not one to argue with Dr. Einstein, but there is a third alternative. Yes, everything in life is a miracle, but we need to leave room for those rare instances that occur every once in a while when something so extraordinary happens that there seems to be no other explanation than that God intervened in somebody's life in a wonderful way, and something that wasn't supposed to happen did. Craig Bryant Larson tells the story of Alcides Moreno. He says that by every law of physics and medicine, Moreno should be dead. Moreno was a window washer on the towering skyscrapers high above Manhattan. He rode platforms with his brother Edgar high into the sky to wash the windows of those skyscrapers. From his perch, he could look down to see the pavement far below where the people looked like ants. However, on December 7th, 2007, catastrophe struck the Moreno family. As the two brothers worked on the 47th story of a high-rise, their platform collapsed, and the Moreno brothers fell from the sky. Now, as you might imagine, Edgar died from the fall. However, Alcides survived. If you are a believer in miracles, this would be one, said the doctor. No, says Larson, Alcides didn't land on a passing airplane or catch his shirt on a flagpole or have anything else amazing happen like you see in the movies. He fell the entire 47 stories to the pavement below. Somehow, he survived that 47-story fall. For 2 weeks, he hung on to life by a thread. Then, on Christmas Day of that year, he spoke and reached out to touch the nurse's face. 1 month later, the doctors were saying that he would probably walk again someday. Do you believe in miracles? We desperately want to, don't we? 700 years before the coming of Christ, the prophet Isaiah was describing the age of the Messiah. He said in chapter 35, verse 5 and 6, that when the Christ came, then will the eyes of the blind be opened, and the ears of the deaf unstopped. Then will the lame leap like a deer, and the mute's tongue shout for joy. Two of those prophecies are fulfilled in today's lesson from the Gospel of Mark. Mark tells us that Jesus left the vicinity of Tyre and went through Sidon, down to the Sea of Galilee and into the region of Decapolis. There, some people brought to him a man who was deaf and could hardly talk, and they begged Jesus to place his hand on him. The interesting thing is that Jesus didn't heal this man in the way these people have asked. You notice that in your own life, that God sometimes works in your life, but not exactly in the way that you had specified. He didn't put his hands on the man. Rather, he took him aside, away from the crowd, and put his fingers into the man's ears. Then he spit and touched the man's tongue. Then he looked up to heaven and with a deep sigh said to the man, Ephphatha, which means be opened. The man's ears were opened, his tongue was loosened, and he began to speak plainly. Jesus commanded the man and those who were with him not to tell anyone about this miracle. But of course, the more he told them to maintain silence about his mighty works, the more they started talking about them. People were overwhelmed with the amazement at Jesus' ability. He has done everything well, they said. He even makes the deaf hear and the mute speak. People were amazed when they saw the things that Jesus did, particularly his acts of healing. He healed those who were in distress physically, spiritually, and emotionally, and it makes sense that people were impressed. Medicine was very primitive in New Testament times. That's one reason that life was so short. If you had a serious disease, where would you turn? You and I simply don't realize how fortunate we are to have the benefits of modern medicine. And almost every day, there are advances that we never hear of in such things as stem cell research, gene editing, and many other areas of medical knowledge that are revolutionizing the practice of medicine today. In fact, one expert says that the advances in medicine over the next 2 decades will be almost unimaginable, and I, for one, am inclined to believe him. For example, let's say you have liver failure in the near future. You won't be put on an organ list to wait for a new liver, because it may be possible that a new replacement liver will be printed on a 3D printer in a medical laboratory right there in your own hometown. A liver designed especially for you. The day's getting very close, according to the people in the field. How about a replacement heart or lungs? No, we're not there yet, but hang in there. The time's getting very close, according to the experts. And people in Jesus' time could only pray for the miracles that you and I experience every day. They're not miracles to us. We take them for granted, thanks primarily to marvels of modern medicine. But people who lived in biblical times could not even imagine such advances. So when they discovered a man in their midst who could cause the blind to see, the deaf to hear, the mute to speak, and the lame to walk, they were astounded. He has done everything well, they said. He even makes the deaf hear and the mute speak. People walked for miles to seek the help for loved ones or for themselves, and most of them were not disappointed. I say most because physically Jesus, while he was encased in human flesh, could not be everywhere at the same time. He had compassion on those who sought him out, but as I say so often, there were only so many hours in the day. Besides, it is obvious that healing the hurting was not the primary mission. His primary mission was to preach the good news of deliverance and healing for all people. But still, he responded to people who were in need, whatever that need might be. And he performed miracles, all kinds of miracles. But most significantly, he performed miracles of healing. The question is, does he still perform such miracles today? Some very devout Christians say no. They say the day of miracles is past. You may know that both Martin Luther and John Calvin, the 2 great leaders of the Protestant Reformation, were in this camp. But many other Christians believe this as well. They cite Jesus' words that his miracles were but signs affirming that he was who he said he was. And that makes sense too. We don't have to witness the miraculous powers to believe he is the Son of God. We have our Bibles, which contain numerous eyewitness reports from people who were there when he healed the blind, the deaf, the lame, the mute. We don't need miracles to know that Christ is who he says he is. We do have the wonders of modern medicine. People are already living nearly twice as long on average than they did in biblical times. And that doesn't mean we will not be at the mercy of forces that can destroy us. That doesn't mean that many of us will not destroy ourselves. I saw a news report last winter that the average lifespan of adults in this country actually shrunk in 2017 because of the opioid epidemic. Insane. The numbers of suicides continue to rise as well. And of course, there are those lives lost to senseless gun violence. Just because many people are living longer than ever doesn't mean that we will no longer pray for God to intervene in our lives or the lives of those we love every now and then. But it does mean that we will not be as vulnerable to sickness and death as people were when Jesus was teaching and healing. And it gives us the opportunity to rethink the ways in which God answers prayer. And there are 2 things we need to recognize about miracles of healing. First of all, we need to get rid of the idea that the more faith you have, the more likely it is that you will experience a miracle. Recently, a radio pastor gave the best response I've heard to the question of faith and healing. The pastor was a wise, grandfatherly gentleman who had the type of calm, reassuring voice that can melt all fear. The lady on the broadcast, who was obviously crying, said, "Pastor, I was born blind, and I've been blind all my life. I don't mind being blind. But I have some well-meaning friends who tell me that if I had more faith, I could be healed." She was obviously upset. Not only was she blind, but some of her so-called friends were telling her that it was her her fault. If she had enough faith, God would heal her. The radio pastor asked her something that I found quite humorous and yet also right on target. "Tell me," he asked his blind lady, "do you carry one of those white canes?" "Yes, I do," she nodded, or she replied, rather. "Then," said the radio pastor, "the next time someone says that, hit them over the head with the cane, then say, 'If you had more faith, that wouldn't hurt.'" That'll teach them, for sure. Healing is not proportional to our faith. Healing is not proportional to our faith. Too many fine Christians have guilt piled on their already suffering bodies because people have told them that if they had more faith, they would be healed. It is a lie. Some of the greatest Christians who have ever lived have suffered terrible deaths. And of course, everyone is going to die sooner or later, believe it or not. Prayers are not answered according to the amount of faith you have.
Amen.
We also must recognize that most prayers do not lead to physical healing. Some of us don't want to hear that, but it is true. Most of us have known at least one person who has lain at death's door, and people have prayed and prayed for healing, but physical healing has not come. Most of us are mature enough to realize that prayer isn't a heavenly slot machine into which we pour our prayers and automatically the answers we desire come out. If we could do that, there would be no reason or need for faith. Faith is belief in the unseen. Now, we see through a glass darkly, but that doesn't mean that our prayers are unheard and unanswered. Let me give you an example. Some time back, sociologist and pastor Tony Campolo was challenged by a friend to add a ministry of healing to his work. Campolo decided to try it out at a service in a church in Oregon. On impulse, at the end of the service, he announced to anyone who wanted to remain that there would be a healing service. And he warned them that they should not expect much, but he would be glad to pray with them and anoint them with some oil that he had. Campolo was surprised when about 30 people stayed for this event. He prayed with each one individually, hearing all kinds of requests for deliverance, including many with physical illnesses. 4 days later, he received a call from a woman who indicated that he had prayed for her husband in this service. Her husband, she said, had cancer. And notice I said, had cancer. Had cancer, Campolo asked, wondering somehow if her husband had been cured. Yes, she said. He's dead now. Disheartened, Campolo listened further to hear her story. She recounted how prior to his event, her husband was quite angry with God and unbearable to be around. Since the night of the healing service, however, he was different. The last 4 days have been the best days of our lives together, the woman said. Then she added, he was not cured, but he was healed. What a fantastic testimony. Those prayers did make a difference. Perhaps the anointing oils did as well. Healing did take place, even if being cured from cancer did not. So what does this story show us? Well, it's pretty obvious that we should never give up on prayer. God uses all kinds of means to offer help to his people, just as Jesus used different means to heal people. Sometimes it is a prayer of a pastor. Sometimes it is just the presence of a loved one in times of crisis. Nurse Susie M. Bottoms tells of the night she admitted a dying pastor to her hospital ICU. The man was at death's door, and the doctor urged his wife to call the family. The wife had a very special favor to ask of the hospital staff. Could they arrange for the son, James, to visit his father? This wasn't a request that is as simple as you think. James was a convicted murderer, serving a life sentence in the local prison. But the hospital staff pulled all the strings to get James transported from the prison to the hospital. It was the least they could do for a man who was dying. No one in the hospital that night could forget the sight of a desperately ill father joyfully hugging his wayward son. The two men clung to one another for a long time, enjoying every second of their brief time together. That night, after James returned to the prison, his father seemed to regain his strength. Within a short time, the pastor was discharged. from the hospital. The man who had been lying at death's door lived another year before dying. Can anyone doubt the sight of his son made a difference in this dying man's recovery, however temporary? The human body is complicated. Healing may take place when the emotions are stirred. Healing may take place when a deep emotional wound is healed. A word of forgiveness has been known to heal a broken body. All kinds of things make a difference in whether we are healed or not, including prayer. Jesus healed people in many ways, physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually. There are times, even when times seem darkest and the most bleak, that miracles still occur. We just have to look for them. I often ponder at the notion that we miss many of the miracles that God puts before us simply because we are too busy, or too distracted, or too unfocused to see them. This week marks the 17th anniversary of 9/11. It's a day that has been designated the name Patriot Day. It's a day that I, as I know many of you, will never forget. There were many heroes that day, and many heroes died that day. But miracles can be anyone or anything, and can happen anywhere. We just have to look for them. God is talking to us. You just have to listen. And I mean listen with all of your senses and with the eyes and ears of your soul. Now I'm going to show you a short video. And it's about an unexpected miracle that came from the twisted steel and ashes of the Twin Towers. It's one of those miracles that could have been easily overlooked and dismissed as just a part of the tons of debris. The first miracle is that it was found at all and recognized as something special. The second, well, let's wait and see.
It still smells of that same smell when I was down in Ground Zero. It has a smell of concrete dust and slightly singed steel and paper. And it's all woven together in a way that is just a memory trigger right away. As soon as I smell that, I'm there again. My name's Joel Meyerowitz. I'm a photographer, and I spent 9 months inside Ground Zero in the days after 9/11. This is a photograph made on March 30th, 2002, and it's in the southern part of the site, actually inside the South Tower. And I was walking along down here when this fireman called out to me and came running down the slope and handed me this Bible that he found. And, it was just an astonishing gift out of the blue. Here it is. It's a Bible melted to a piece of heart-shaped steel. And here under retaliation, on verse 38, it says, "Ye have heard that it hath been said, an eye for an eye, and a tooth for a tooth." But then verse 39 says, "But whoever smite thee on thy right cheek, you turn the other to him also." And of all the pages in the Bible that it would be open to, that was remarkable. The guy that handed it to me was a fireman. If I was to guess what was in his mind at that moment, I would think that he saw a Bible, and the Bible has such symbolic significance to all of us, regardless of our beliefs, that he just instinctively knew that this was something worth saving. When I received the Bible, I could see how fragile it was. Even though it was on a piece of steel, its surface was fragile. So I had a scarf with me, and I wrapped the Bible up in my scarf, and I put it in one of my shoulder bags. And I kept it in my studio here for a couple of years with a bunch of other artifacts I found, waiting for the day that I could give it to the right institution. I held on to this Bible until 2010, when I've been working with the people inside the 9/11 Memorial Museum, and I thought they should really have this. It shouldn't be sitting in my studio when it could be there as some kind of iconic image for the millions of visitors who are going to come to the museum. I don't know what people are going to feel when they see this Bible, but I hope they have a sense of wonder and awe. It's like a story of survival. This thing has survived, and it seemed to me that its destiny then is to go back into the public so that the public could see how something as fragile as a bunch of pieces of paper in a book could be saved and have survived this incredible tragedy. And it's going to carry some message about the way the word of the Bible has survived through centuries, through millennia of history.
Do you have someone who is experiencing a crisis in their life? Pray for them. Does your life seem dark and you feel you've reached a dead end? Pray for yourself. Everyday disasters happen somewhere in the world. Pray for the victims. But for all of these, pray like a mature Christian, recognizing that God does not always work in the way we have specified, or the way that we want, or the way that we expect. But God does work. Boy, does He work. And every once in a while, a miracle occurs. Amen.
Amen.
Be seated for the announcements, please. We have a bunch of them today, guys. Bear with me, but they're all important. First one. Oh, I gave my new graphics. Isn't that pretty?
Yeah,
Very nice.
Zero.
Weekly announcements. The highlight of your day. Right? Good. Right. Pray at DallasULC.com. Pray at DallasULC.com. This is for prayer requests. Use it, guys. If you have a prayer request, if you need somebody to pray for you, we pray here every day at Dallas ULC. And if you'd like us to pray for you on Sunday especially, we'll be glad to do that. Just let us know what you want. You can remain anonymous, or you can put your name in there, no big deal. Also, we have services available for dedication. If a loved one has passed, or someone having a graduation, or someone starting school, as what's going on right now, if you want to dedicate to somebody who you feel that you want to honor them in a service, just give us a text message, send us an email, and for a small donation to the church to cover the expenses, we will be glad to donate that or dedicate that service to them. Their name will be announced at the service, and it'll be printed in the bulletin. Okay.
Yeah, donations.
Hey, this is a good one, guys. Coming up is North Texas Giving Day. This is on 9/20, or September the 20th. If you know of anybody that wants to donate to the church, if you know if yourself are thinking about donating to the church, anything at all, this is the day to do it, because every donation we get puts us in a different contest for different winnings of different prizes. We could have our money matched. There's some of these prizes are up to $10,000, so this is pretty important. The more donors we get, the more we times. If we so we get a donation every hour, it's another entrance into a contest to win this money. So it's important, guys. If you can, ask people to donate that day. This is important. We're hurting for money. This will help us a lot. If we could win that $10,000, can you imagine what that would do for us? Yeah. I'm telling you, it would help us a ton. It would take some of this gray hair out of my hair, hopefully. All right. So 9:20. I'm going to show you a little video here. This is to explain a little more what it's about. Go ahead.
There you go.
Want to be a part of making North Texas an even stronger and more vibrant community? Communities Foundation of Texas's North Texas Giving Day makes it easy. Go online to northtexasgivingday.org on September 20th and give to your favorite local nonprofits all at once. Help a veteran, save an animal, or beautify a neighborhood. A community that gives together, grows together. Can give on September 20th? No problem. Schedule your donation at northtexasgivingday.org anytime between September 10th and 19th.
A small vinegar.
It's you.
Oh. All right. Hey, we need volunteers, guys. We do. I know that all of us have busy lives and everything, but you can make a difference here. And it could be anything. An hour before church, an hour after church. Help us do something during the week. If you can help us at the office at the church, we always need help here. And if you donate your time, your abilities, or anything at all, we would appreciate it. So just see me if you have any time to donate to the church. Okay. Volunteer is important. Part of your duty as a Christian. Moving on. Hey, did you know we had a podcast?
No, I didn't.
Did you know we had a podcast? It's pretty cool too.
Yes, I actually got to see it.
The last couple of weeks, the podcast has been the best thing we've had because we've had some video problems with our services. We missed a little bit. Today was kind of trying as well. We ended up having to do a little bit of a...
Spotify.
Huh?
Google Podcast.
Yeah, we're going to get there. We're going to get there in a minute, okay? So, the podcast is pretty cool. It's different than watching it on video. I don't know why, but it is. I tell you this every week. If you haven't gone to the podcast, go watch it or go listen to it because it's different than watching it. It doesn't hurt you any at all to hear my sermon again. You might learn something you missed. Hey, but guess where you can see that podcast or hear that podcast? That's these places right here. You can listen to us on Anchor. You can hear us on Pocket Casts, Stitcher, Radio Public, Apple Podcasts, Overcast, Castbox, Breaker, Google Podcasts, and of course, Spotify.
Just try to get away from us. You can't.
I know it. You just can't do it. All right, guys. Here we go. This is different from last week as well. We had another one added because guess what's coming up? I forgot about. What's this weekend? Not today, but a week from today.
Gay Day.
Pride Parade. Pride Parade is a week from today. A lot of you want to attend and whatnot. So, temporary service change for Sunday, September the 16th, which is next Sunday, and Sunday, September 23rd, which is the Sunday after. Both of those Sundays, the next 2 Sundays in a row, will begin at 11 a.m. I know it's the crack of dawn. I know it's rough. Believe me, I can feel you on this one. But service begins at 11 a.m. those 2 days. It returned to our regular service on the 30th, which is the last service of the month. So, the next 2 services, 11 a.m. We can handle it, guys. We can get through this, okay? All right. Now, because of that, guess what? This is what I was talking about here. Pride to Pride, Dallas Pride is, go ahead.
Oh.
It's going to do this one at a time here.
Okay.
So, Sunday, September 16th, that's for our 11 a.m. start time, which we just spoke about. Now, this Sunday, and this Sunday only, the bishop, has approved a more lax dress code, which includes hats, shorts, open-toed shoes, or flip-flops, or sandals, and tank tops. Next, please. Now, this is the part you need to understand very, very carefully, folks. This does not include see-through garments, underwear worn as outerwear,
There's just that one time.
crop tops, any clothing that exposes the genitals or breasts.
Again, just that one time.
I'm just telling you now.
I'm scared.
Leather or metal gear. That does not include any of those. Those are not approved. If you want to change into that to go to Pride and do your thing, that's great. But guys, next one, please.
The guy who told us.
Please remember that this is a privilege and that you are still attending church services, and try to be reverent and respectful to that fact. Dress with pride. Please, guys. I know a lot of you want to go to the Pride Parade afterwards, okay? That's why I'm doing this, because I don't want you to have to be uncomfortable and have to go run somewhere and change this, that, and the other. So, I mean, I know we're having an 11 o'clock service. The parade starts at 3. So this gives you time. That way you don't have to rush home or do anything or change before the service. You can be comfortable here for that day. But just be respectful, okay? We're still in church, okay? All right.
Knock, knock, knocking on heaven's door. You're listening to Your Path with Bishop Mark from Dallas Universal Life Church in Dallas, Texas.
Okay. So what did you like? What did you not like? What do you want to keep? What do you want to get rid of? Today we talked about believing in miracles. And it's a miracle we got through that service.
Yeah, it is.
I thank you all for your patience. We had some technical difficulties with the last few weeks. It's been rough. We've had some trouble with our cameras, and it's so important to me, and I think to you all as well, that we get this our message out on YouTube and in our podcasts and whatnot, so we kind of make sure that it comes out properly. So we work very hard to do that. Yeah, go ahead.
About the sermon.
Yeah, let's talk about
You
it.
talk about the healing.
Healing.
And you said like how he's healed. Jesus healed him his own way, not
Sure.
the way that people expected.
Right.
Well, that's kind of it's like his will, like his way.
Mhm.
That's how God works. Like the fact that you're still here, and everything is part and part of his will, especially as a Christ believing Christian. And so that brings me to a miracle, like the sermon on miracles. That
Okay.
I think the fact that we're still alive and breathing, like
That's a miracle.
Well,
freedom.
we talked about that in the beginning of the sermon, saying that every day really is a miracle. But we're talking about today, we're talking about those extraordinary miracles, those extra special miracles. But yes, you're right. Every day that we're breathing at all
Just get on the road here.
is a miracle. You're right. You're right. Our life on this earth is a miracle to begin with. If you think about it, we look around. We have found no other life, and we've looked pretty far. There's no other planets that can sustain life like there is here that we found. So, I mean, everything had to be just exactly perfect for things to happen here, for that life to happen, for that moon to be created, for the tides to happen, for the mud to come out of the water. You know,
Times they do.
Yeah.
it's amazing.
When you look at people whose their lives and how one person just seems to, every time he gets in a situation where, you know, there's not the, you know, best of circumstances, he always like, you know, is the one who gets like becomes a victim, and then other people are just skirting by or, you know, not like wrecking their car, etc.
You know, life is not fair. It's not. We're not on equal playing grounds here. I don't know why. We're just not. It's just the way it works. But yeah, I don't know. I try not to
But still,
compare myself to others as much as.
I'm saying it still leads, like when something bad happens, it could still put people in your life or lead to, you know, set in forward motion, like somebody that you meet that you get like a high paying job from, you know, or you become a business partner with, you might have never met if you hadn't have fender bendered and like broke your toe.
Right. Well, I said this all along. I mean, I've said today, in fact, I said to somebody, I said, you know, if I were 15 and know what I know now, I would give the world. I mean, youth is wasted on the young. I still believe youth is wasted on the young. I do believe that. But if that happened and I changed my whole life, I wouldn't have the friends I have now. Probably wouldn't have this church like I have now. And I wouldn't have, I mean, every little aspect of my life up till now has made me who I am. I just heard that camera stop. Has made me who I am today. So
And one more
for me
thing,
to turn that around and say, I don't want to be that, I want to change that, it changes every aspect of my life afterwards.
I just want to say one more thing. I'll pass the ball to someone else. But I think every day is like everything is just like it's like a living miracle. Is how you should look at it instead of waiting for it. You know, like some people are just like, I want to be healed or whatever.
You already are.
You know, and whatnot. But instead of waiting on it, just go out. Like faith is just going out and knowing that this, you know, God's going to take care. You know,
God does take care of us. We do a lot of things that are not what we're supposed to be doing as far as this. Our jobs on this earth while we're here is to serve and worship God. That's what our job is to do. And you know, we're human. We're going to use that excuse a lot. We're human. We're sinners. We are. But we forget sometimes how lucky we really are. The miracles that we have on this earth. I mean, think about it. I mean, I really honestly think about that. We've got food. We've got companionship. We've got love. We've got air to breathe, and all these wonderful luxuries that have, you know, been invented and grown with us, and health, and those wonderful emotions that we're able to experience with each other.
Such wonderful things, but yet so many people bring such bad things.
Because they take it for granted.
Exactly.
but they're not really.
They don't realize.
They really haven't let Jesus in their life. It starts to change. Like,
and that's part of our job, isn't it? What is our job as Christians? What is part of one of our main jobs as Christians is to spread this word.
you have
Right?
to
give others,
have like good intention in your heart.
Always. But the road to hell is paved with good intentions. It's not about just the intentions. It's about walking the walk.
From your heart,
You can talk all day long. You can say that you are the King of England, as far as I'm concerned. And if you're not walking the walk, then you're not the King of England. You know, I don't care if you are or not. You know, listen, what I'm saying is that's one of our major things here at DULC is, you know, I say it all the time, non digliamus, verbo, nec lingua, sen opere, et veritate. Walk the walk. Because you got to walk the walk. Talk is. Why do you think all these sayings are out there about this thing we're talking about? Talk is cheap, right?
Yeah.
You've heard that before, right? You heard walk the walk, don't just talk the talk, right?
Okay.
You've heard these sayings because that's the truth.
Right.
People are saying the same thing we're saying. If you're just going to talk, I don't see any results. All I'm hearing is hot air.
Yeah.
Your words mean nothing unless you back them up with action. Right?
Right.
Am I right?
Absolutely.
You look like you're confused over there.
I'm not confused.
Okay, you understand what I'm saying, right?
Yes.
We can be as grand as we want. We can put on our noses up in the air and think that we're the higher shelf and just better than everybody else. First of all, that's not very Christian. But second of all, What makes you think that you're so much better, first of all? Even if you were upper crust and had money and this, that, and the other. So what? How are you living your life? Are you acting a snob, even if you are or not? Are you treating others equally like Jesus would? Are you allowing the people in the door of your church who you wouldn't normally let in your church because they're dressed wrong or they smell funny or they're alcoholics or drug addicts and really are the ones that need the help, that need to hear the word of God? Jesus Christ hung out with the sinners and the lepers.
Most of the people churches are supposed to be letting in, and churches have become, especially here in Texas, out in the country,
Everywhere.
like isolated, like they're turning into like
They're country clubs.
yeah. So
That's what they are.
Franchises.
I'll tell you something. We're not a country club. I've had my differences with people. But as far as I'm concerned, if anybody wants to come to church here, they're welcome to come to church here. As long as, we don't have an issue during services, I'm fine with that. I can't tell you can't come to church. Because at this point in time, this may be my condominium most of the time, but at this point in time, this is not my place. This is God's house. Okay? This is his show. I'm just here kind of, facilitating. So, yes, you're right. That's a problem with churches. Were you raising your hand at me?
Yes.
Yes, speak up now.
I'm saying the thing about being a church, though, it's like no matter what, being that way, we have to.
What?
He doesn't.
We have to what?
You two kind of have to let him in. Like,
Let him in. You have to let him in. Oh, absolutely. You're talking about God or what? Or people?
well, I mean,
Ronnie could have come in for church. He wasn't here for church. He didn't want to come in for church. I have no problem letting him in for church. He knows that. He should know that. You should know that as well. You know my policy on that.
Yeah.
no, Ronnie.
Ronnie, you want to get him in for church.
I'd be in here saying stuff like
Okay.
Satanistic or whatever.
I can't force people to come to church.
No, it wouldn't, but still.
Because you force people to come to church, they're not coming to church. They're just being forced. I want people here who want
to be.
are
And
receptive.
church is supposed to be over by now. So he
Receptive.
thought
He did.
he thought church was over.
We had a long day because we had the recording problems. So that's
Yeah.
the issue.
So that's what
Just in his defense, you're right, Tim.
Yeah.
You know,
So
Ryan and I had our differences. It is what it is. Doesn't mean you can't come to church. Are we going to be friends again? I don't know. I sure hope so. I think that would be the Christian thing to do, but I don't know. I don't know about that answer right now. So that's something that's more of a personal level. And as far as church goes, he's welcome to come to church. Anybody's welcome to come to church as long as they can act appropriately as they should in church. And that's when we have a problem. When people don't act appropriately in church, that's when we have to take measures and do other things. Because look, I want everybody here to have a good experience. Everybody here to experience what I experienced in my life and find this. See, I can't, guys. I try and convey this to you all the time about this feeling that I have, this amazing thing that dwells inside me, and it's my faith. Okay, and sometimes it seems like I come across just fake. I come across because it's so big to me. It's such a huge part of my life. I feel like I'm preaching to you, and you're going, "What the hell are you talking about? You're so full of it." But I'm not. I'm really not. Believe me, guys.
Then you have to ask.
I wouldn't put my neck out there like this if I didn't believe what I say to you. And I wholeheartedly try to be as honest as I can with you about who I am, where I've come from, and what I believe in. And I think that's the only way to really get y'all to understand it. It's an amazing feeling. And I may complain a lot. But that's only because I want this to be something so special, and I want it to get out there, and I want it to move ahead so quickly. I want to get out there and tell these people, all the people of the world, what we're doing here.
Well, let's ask everyone why they're here.
Then I get frustrated. The problem is getting people in the door.
Like, why are you here?
Okay, why are we going to do
Why
that?
am I here?
Okay, let's go.
What
Why are
made
you-
you decide to come today?
What made me decide to come today is really I need a little bit of push. A little bit of push come to shove, like trying to get in the right way,
I mean, you should come, like,
No,
you
I
care about all that just because, like, you want
well, I care about my family first
to,
off.
you just want to, like, worship God or whatever, Like, so,
Yeah, right. No, that's what I'm saying.
we
I
shouldn't
need that
question
push.
each other. We shouldn't question each other's answers.
No, I mean, I understand what he's asking. Yeah, I get it. There's no reason not to ask that. I mean, it's okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Look, guys, here's the deal. Be honest. Because
Exactly.
I require that, first of all. And when here's what I say. You know, there's no saying about money talks, bullshit walks. Well, bullshit walks. Period. I don't want to hear you slapping your gums and saying nothing is true, because first of all, it's transparent. I mean, you can see right through it, guys. Like, I hate to tell y'all, but none of y'all are very good liars. And why would you waste your time like that? I always think that that's one thing I've found since I've grown up and gotten older. Lying is a waste of time.
It really is.
Because eventually the truth is going to come out at some point.
Who's lying?
And I'm not saying anybody is. I'm just saying I demand honesty here. And Tim was saying, why should we shouldn't question each other on why we're here?
No, I'm saying
You don't have to answer. You don't have to answer anything.
I was just saying that.
I think it's an interesting question. I like the question.
I'm saying it seemed like he was kind of
Inquisition?
No. Listen, it seemed like he was kind of scrutinizing the answers he was giving.
No, I just wanted to see what, if you came because you just wanted to come to church.
I
and
did
worship
answer
God.
that initially because
You know?
I do come to church for a push right now.
Because
right now,
I'd rather come to this church than the one that's in my town, because they don't. I want to start tithing after I get a good paycheck.
Good.
I got a crappy one. So
It's your duty. It's your duty as a Christian to tithe to your church. We don't get paid from anybody else. This church especially, we're non-denominational. So there's no big denomination behind us pumping money into our church, helping us grow. We're doing this on our own dime, and it's been very, very, very
I
rough.
actually want to do
Why are you here,
that
Gavin?
because I want to go somewhere that's real.
Oh, you want to what?
Go to a church that's like.
Well, this is a real church. Let me correct you there. This is real, but I'm right there with you. I want to get into our own building as well. First of all, I'm starting to feel very claustrophobic in my own home with our church. It's a lot going on here. Okay. Secondly, I want it to be understood that there's a difference between my home and church, and I think sometimes that line gets a little blurred here. So yes, and besides that, once we get into our own place again, once we get into a place we can put a little sign out front and have a really nice little service, we can bring more people in. And I think that's when we really start marketing ourselves and getting us out there. Right now, the housing market, or the real estate market in Texas, in Dallas, is booming, and there's nothing really we can afford right now. We'll get there. I'm going to get there. We're going to get there eventually. I don't know how, but with God's help, we're going the right way. There's obviously a reason He's not ready for us to move into a place yet, because I'm trying. I am trying, but I'm hitting roadblocks, and I'm trying to get through them. It's just going to take time.
It's the members, not the building.
You're right. That's the point. But we got to get in a building for other reasons, like I told you, for us to promote ourselves properly and to be taken seriously by most people. Doesn't do it. Oh, let me explain to you this. Most churches start exactly the way we're doing here. This is where they start, and then they grow into what they grow into. But people don't see that a lot of times. We've gotten some criticism on YouTube about people saying, you're just in your living room. Well, okay, but it's not about that. It's about the fact that we are a group of people. We are a group of people who are the church. Moving on. Gavin, what did you have to say to me?
Well, he actually asked me, why do I come to church?
So why do you come to church, Gavin?
Because, in all honesty, I think that feeding not only our minds, bodies, and hearts, but our spirit as well.
I think it's very important.
Now, essentially what I was saying was that when you're feeding your mind, your body, you also have to feed the spirit. And oddly enough, a lot of self-help books, particularly actually help with that. And for some reason, a few of the people that I've noticed, they seem to be making improvements. Not just
That's a good point.
Because...
Well, we're not really here to talk about other people's actions. We're talking about ourselves.
I'm not talking about the actions. I'm talking about the improvement.
Well, that would be an improvement in their actions, Gavin. Right?
Yes,
What they're doing, right?
Yes, sir.
So let's stay on task here. Let's just stay where we are, where we're going with this, okay? Why do you come to church? Besides the fact that we want you to feed your spirit, to feed yourself spiritually. What else? What are the other reasons? Give me a better reason. It's a great reason. Don't get me wrong, but go into more depth than that if you don't mind. Tell me about that. Tell me why you need that. What's going on there?
The primary reason I come to church, though, is actually to worship God.
Fabulous. You can worship God anywhere, anytime.
No.
But what's your spirit lacking?
That's an interesting question. It's a tough one.
Not really a tough one, actually.
Well, then what do you think, Gavin? You want to answer it?
I wouldn't say it's necessarily lacking, but more wanting
What is it wanting?
and needing sometimes. Probably companionship and, just...
As do we all.
It's a good place. You're not going to necessarily find your next love here. I mean, you could. It happens. But don't come to church for that reason. No. Come to church for companionship. Come to church for fellowship. Come to church for the congregation. Because your bonds grow stronger, as we've discussed before. Your bonds grow stronger the more relationships you have. Okay? Well, you've got people in your life who have been through things that you've been through in your life. When the storm comes, you've got people to lean on. And that's a good reason to have friendships and strong bonds with your church, with your members of the church. You have to become a family. And you guys, look, we're small. And we know a lot about each other, and we get great on each other's nerves a lot too, just like brothers and sisters would. But that's what families do. You can't have the good without the bad. We talk about that all the time, So yes, it's good. It's fellowship.
Yeah, that's it.
Fellowship is very important, and I think that it's a critical part. I mean, these churches that you go into and nobody knows each other. The ones like the country clubs, but not even country clubs, because it's more like going into an office building where nobody knows each other and you're just sitting around looking at each other. It's great that they're going to church, but you've got to have some fellowship. You've got to be able to raise the hands of the person next to you and feel comfortable about it when you're praising God.
Well,
That's why I like our church a lot.
sorry.
Yeah, go ahead.
If everybody shows up because they want to, they want to be here, and that's the only reason we all should kind of like the flash mob. But we have
That's
church
what I
here.
want.
That just comes along with it. Like you come to church because you want to go to church and make something set something out for God, and either your family or something. But any hunger you have, I guess.
Can I tell you something? Our topic today was miracles. Let me tell you something, guys. It's a miracle that each and every one of you are here. I want you to think about your life. And think about where your life had gone, and where you had been, and things you've done, and places you've been, and the low parts of your life, and everything else. Would you have imagined 10 years ago, 5 years ago, that you'd be sitting in a church every Sunday, talking about God, and talking about your spirituality, and talking about fellowship? Would you believe that 5 years ago?
Nope.
There's your miracle.
Amen. Why are you here, Matt?
Am I here? Well, I wanted to go to church here. I would have tried more, but I owe Mark some money, and so he actually helped me out, and that's why I owe him money, because I needed help, and I possibly would have gotten a Class B misdemeanor if he didn't help me that.
No, we don't need that.
Yeah.
For no license, because it was my surcharge, and so that's why I owe him money, and he's someone that helped me on the bond, and I'm no longer in this area, but still
But you
pay
came
back.
all the way out here, and I appreciate that.
Still feel in debt to him, though.
No, I don't want him to come to church because he feels in debt to me. Mm-mm. That's not what he's saying at all. He said he would have tithed more if he hadn't had to pay me what he paid me, but that's fine.
This is the church I'd want to get the money to, because I thought about if I went to that church in the town where my grandparents stay, all them richer old people, and they had this preacher there who's trying to get them to go out, be more accepting,
sure.
And they're all clicked up, and one of them even laughed because he tried to do this roundtable thing.
Really?
At our church, yeah.
And how'd it go? Didn't go too well, huh?
It didn't go too well at all.
You got to be very open-minded to do something like this. You got to be really accepting of others and be able to take in what other people are saying with that open mind. You've got to be able to not be stuck in your old ways of the Bible is this.
Right.
Okay? Because the Bible may be this, but it's also this, 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 this,
Amen.
this, and this. It's a kaleidoscope of translations, of interpretations. There's so many different. Think about one Bible, one sermon we do, one gospel that I read. I could do a sermon about 30 different things about that one gospel. It's very easy to do, and they're all right. They're all talking about this lesson we're learning about God and Jesus Christ and His message. It's about the message we're trying to get across, not the words.
It's the one body of Jesus Christ.
We are the one body of Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
We are the body of Jesus Christ. We are what's out there trying to spread that word.
We look at each other each other and we're like, yeah, I like him, but we should also look at other people that just out there, because
What do I always say?
I witnessed-
Bring
I
somebody to
witnessed someone else,
church.
so-
Bring somebody to church. Y'all still can't do that. I don't know what the problem is.
Hey, I bring a lot.
Bring somebody to church. You know, Colby, when I say y'all like that, it's not all about you, young man.
No, you said y'all.
Sometimes it's about just y'all.
You said y'all.
Sometimes just y'all.
Y'all means
y'all. Not just all of you.
probably keep
Just so you don't feel bad. I'm not always coming down on you now.
I know.
if I
'Cause
bring someone here,
I know that you are perfect.
what if Gavin comes? Once they meet Gavin, like, I don't know about this place.
Well, none of us know about Gavin. That's beside the point. We love Gavin. We're glad Gavin's here.
It's Josh and you, Gavin.
There's a reason we're all here.
Amen.
Just a second.
It is America.
And
Funny thing is,
it's amazing doing those miracles. There's been some miracles that have come out of this place. There's been some heartache, especially of late, which we don't necessarily understand what's going on with all that, but that's something that the light will be shed on it when God chooses it for it to be shed on for us. But the church, I hope that this church continues to go on for a long time. Even after I'm gone, because I plan on telling it to you. I'm trying to make it that way. I want this to be a place where we're deeply rooted in what we're doing right now. Our tradition becomes what we're doing these last 2 years we put together, because we built this church from nothing. We built this church. Tim and I sat in this room with a camera phone, like this, with a camera phone.
Well, the church, not the cause to the effect.
But the point is, service on Sunday is not the church, guys. Service on Sunday is our celebration of the week. It's our celebration of what we've done all week, and of our Christianity, and of God, and worshiping God. That's not church. That's not the church. The church is what we're doing all week long.
Yeah. Amen.
And if you forget that, I'm doing something wrong here. Because that's why I try and tell you things at the end of the service, like, this week concentrate on this, or let's talk about this next week, or this is your homework. Because if we do those things and start working on little things like that at a time outside of these four walls, then we're doing our job as Christians. Because what we talk about in here, we already know a lot of this stuff. We're talking because we're just reassuring ourselves. We're reaffirming our faith. We're celebrating God. But out there, it's hard. Out there, they'll look at you funny when you start talking Christianity. They do. You're a Bible thumper, right? Well, we're not Bible thumpers, because we're not talking about the Bible. We're talking about our lives. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about the miracles that we see. Share them. Don't be afraid. One other thing, if you notice today, at the end of the service, I said, I'm just going to read this back to you. I want you to hear it again. You might have heard it. Go now with grace in your hearts. Do not be afraid to proclaim the good news. Go now with justice in your hearts and in your hands. Do not shrink from speaking to those in power to set the most vulnerable free from all that limits them. Go now with hope in your hearts, in your hands, and on your lips. Join the Spirit in singing the good news to our world. What we were saying was, it's about what we're doing outside of these walls. So when you step out of here, you've got to remember, first and foremost, I'm a Christian. How would a Christian act at this point? Am I doing what Christ would do? Am I acting Christ-like? And we're not going to be 100%, anywhere close to 100% on that. That's to be expected. Don't beat yourself up. But doesn't mean you don't strive for 100%. It means you don't try and get. Doesn't mean you mess up and then you go, oh well, messed up for the week now. I might as well just go and blow it out. My, you know what? No, you pick yourself up and you try again. That's what life is about. Trying again, and trying again, and trying again, until you can get closer and closer and closer to being Christ-like. That's the miracle, that we are given the ability to try again. You get it?
Yeah.
So, what are we doing outside these walls? How are you acting? Are you remembering the fact? Is it ever crossed your mind that I'm a Christian and a Christian is supposed to act like this when you're outside these walls? Does it? If it doesn't, it should. Please start thinking that way. Get that in your head. I'm a Christian. How would Christ act like in this situation? What would Christ do? What would Jesus do? I hate that I hated that campaign. But in its essence, it was fantastic. What would Jesus do?
Keep it right. That's what I'd say.
Yeah, exactly.
The label
You
Christian
know
never
the
goes to my
difference.
head.
You know the difference between right and wrong. Tim, He's right about that. I should have asked you. We hadn't gotten to you yet, but we were going to get there. Go ahead.
I come to church because to support the church that I've been with ever since the beginning. So that's all. I mean, and to commune with God and you guys. So
really, what else?
Was that wrong?
And it's not wrong.
Okay.
I just think I think you're not. I don't think you're telling us all of it.
Well, to have a sense of like fellowship and to.
Do you enjoy being here with us?
Usually,
yeah. We're gonna cross each other. It happens. Yeah. I told you that. Just like brothers and sisters.
Right. I do. Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Guys, miracles happen every day, and the miracle that we're having right now is that we made it through this far. Okay. So look, we're almost at 3 years. We're getting there, about 2.5 years now. So let's just keep on going. Let's keep on trucking. Let's keep on making it better every week, and hopefully, we will all prevail. Learn to live with each other a little better and learn to celebrate our differences and our little quirks and our little, whatever we do that sometimes grates on people's nerves. Okay? It's been a long day. It's late. I apologize about the late hour. I appreciate you all being here. Let's close out in prayer today. And this week, guys, here's what I want you to do. Whenever you're thinking about making a decision or thinking about doing something or something crosses your mind, always remember, I'm a Christian. And am I acting like Christ? So keep that in your head this week. Okay? Let's close this out in prayer.
Can I share this real quick, Mark? Please?
Sure.
The golden rule is shared between many different... This is me talking. But the golden rule is shared between all...
Yeah, we discussed this a few weeks ago. Actually, I had that exact graphic in our program, by the way.
Did you?
Yeah, go right ahead.
It's awesome. I really dig it. Buddhism hurt not others with that which pains yourself. Christianity is do unto others as you would have them do unto you. Hinduism is treat others as you would yourself be treated. Islam, do unto all men as you would wish to have done unto you. Judaism, what you yourself hate, do to no man. Native American, live in harmony, for we are all related. Sacred Earth, whatever that religion is do as you will, as long as you harm no one.
Now understand this. This is something that just reinforces what I've said all along, that all of the major religions basically are teaching the same thing. Exactly. They all are based on the same thing. If you look at even the books may be different, the rules may be different, the names may be different, but it's all the same lesson. Yeah, exactly. It's about love and about treating each other with respect and love and just getting along in that way. Not just getting along, but having a love for your brother and sister. Mm-hmm. And that's how we get along in this world. That's how Christ would act. Yeah. Okay? He loves everybody, especially the poor, and the sick, and the downtrodden, and the lonely. Those are the ones he especially went to because they needed him the most.
Yeah.
Okay? All right. Let's close this out in prayer, guys. One day. And that's what I got to start again on next week. As soon as we get done with this, we start another week. I'm grateful to have the opportunity to do these things. All right, guys. Father, we come to you late this Sunday evening with tired hearts, but grateful hearts. We're so happy to have been here today and to have had the opportunity to share communion together, to share our thoughts together, to share all of our fellowship with each other, the good and the bad, the frustrating and the happy and the sad, and all of it above. All those wonderful emotions, God, that you've given unto us. Lord, we ask that you implant in us, especially now, the knowledge and the ability to recognize choices that we are to be made, and to help us make that choice to be more Christ-like, to consciously say, I want to be more Christ-like when I make this decision. Lord, help us to get through another week. Help us to be safe. Help us to love. And bring us back next Sunday together in fellowship, because this church is nothing without us. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen.